Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance. And this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Donna. And here's her story. Ollie, thank you for what you do to give clarity and confusion. I am confused. I've been studying for years, but still cannot grasp exactly where I am in the scheme of things. Thank you in advance for your help. I look forward to your response. My brother was the scapegoat in my family of origin, but I was not a golden child. Maybe a lost child, I'm not certain, but I was always my brother's advocate. My childhood issues pale in comparison to my husband's, which is the reason I'm writing. We were both married previously, both had 2 children, and both had been betrayed in a variety of forms. So when we began to date, it seemed we shared the same values and had a mutual appreciation for loyalty and honesty that had not been reciprocated in our previous marriage. My mother-in-law was a covert narc who had 6 children she couldn't afford, so my father-in-law worked 2 jobs all his life. In his absence, she pitted them against him and against each other. In his presence, she discounted, talked over, and mocked him. In his last days, she painted the room he was dying in as company would be coming soon, and redirected attention from his visitors onto his high-tech wheelchair, or her travel plans as soon as this is over. My husband has 2 older sisters, and he is the eldest of 4 sons. The eldest daughter, a golden child, backed away the day I met her, as I extended myself. The second daughter, the scapegoat, I met later and became close to as she was unexplainably ill. I eventually discovered, with the help of a PI, that her husband was poisoning her. The family discounted that and favored him in the divorce. It was he who called us when their father died. They love poisoning people. The youngest brother is the main golden child. His wife also refused to acknowledge my presence, and still, 21 years later, has yet to acknowledge my presence. She came into the family in her teens by sleeping with all 4 brothers. Oh, God. Including your husband? God, that's got to make for an awkward holiday. All 4 brothers had sex with this girl? Merry Christmas. Since this is a family of musicians, I equate her to a groupie whose identity is in collecting the whole set. Okay, so your family's musicians. This could be a lot similar. This is similar to the story I just did yesterday with the movie producer and the sound guy's wife. Look, anytime you're doing anything creative, okay, and you have a spouse, that spouse, especially women, see everybody around them as it's always a competition. It's always a competition. At first, I was unaware of that family secret. I would say. I believe my husband was either a lost child or a scapegoat. I cannot tell for sure. His roles seem to overlap. His first wife never actually quit dating, and she wasn't certain who fathered her children, but no one in the family saw a problem with that except his scapegoat sister and his father. In family group photos, it's hard to tell who belongs to who, as the groupie wife is all over the place and so are her hands. That, of course, did not set well with me, being the largely unacknowledged wife, while my predecessor wife was deeply entrenched in friends and those who ignored my existence. My husband's ex had been remarried about 4 years. Shortly after our marriage, she filed for a new custody hearing. The children were alienated because he had married me. The family participated, and before I realized who my mother-in-law truly was, I confided in her, and it was all given to my enemy. I came home once to discover the kids and ex had been in my bedroom. I smelled my own perfume. My mother-in-law recommended we change the locks, then used it against us in alienating them. Meanwhile, I'm trying to nurse my poisoned sister-in-law back to health and was still raising a teenager. The lawsuit took a year. Soon as it was settled, another one was filed, claiming we did not pay child support, even though I had the canceled check. It took another year, in which time we were buried in medical bills by uncovered providers. 3 more lawsuits followed, each taking a year, and the toll was unbearable. Family court, man. Ain't it the best? During this time, the ex partnered with my sister-in-law who committed a crime, and they took the 2 kids to the police and all swore they were eyewitnesses to me committing that crime. I settled with them for $8,000 to keep from going to prison under the advice of so-called experts. I was in no shape to defend myself anymore and ended up in the hospital. My husband was mourning the loss of his entire family now, except his scapegoat sister, whom he was never close to anyway. There were so many of them, and only one of me. He eventually blamed me, and we split up. That made them happy and also gave them reason to punish him. And they did. In an effort to win back their approval, he did many things for them. One being cave to a lot of their lies, and another, he put his baby brother in his professional band. And there it is. So he's the one with the professional band. He's the one. And this is what they're doing. They're punishing him until they get what they wanted. Didn't you say the baby was the golden child? The entire family is in on the act because your husband's the one with the professional band. So they will do whatever they have to do to get their way. This brother reminds me of your Precious. The brother is married to a skank, dropped out of high school at 15, works in a dirty job, but his wife gets government assistance, and they live in a neighborhood they can't afford in a house they will never own. Contrast that with my husband's college education, achieved senior engineer position, an Army Medal of Commendation, and 30 years of professional musicianship, but he's the failure, while the neighborhood bicycle's husband is hailed as the success. He really thinks he won the prize, highly coveted by his 3 brothers. It's like reverse polygamy. But back to my point. After my mother-in-law died and the kids were of age, the dust seemed to have settled, and we started a reconciliation process. It went, almost 2 years. Well, why would the reconciliation? It won't last. Because it was all done for the golden child. It was all done. So what do you think? The golden child's now not going to take the role of the mother-in-law? Fooling yourself. Once they're gone, they're gone. Once they're out of your life, they got to stay out of your life. There's no reconciling with these fucking people. Ever. Ever. It went well for almost 2 years, even with the kids. I was forgiving because I knew they'd been brainwashed and things seemed to be okay. But little by little, some of the lies leaked out of my husband's mouth. I dealt with it when it happened and we'd be okay. But the brother was in the band. I went to functions and steered clear of the groupie wife till I noticed she often needed help. She needed to help my husband on stage. Never saw her help hers, she just helped mine, and she'd hug him, but she still refused to acknowledge my existence. Her blatant disregard for me as a person and for our marriage became an obvious issue. The other guys in the band noticed, and because of our previous rapport, she was unable to convince them that I was the villain and she was the victim. Wow, so all these years she was still in love with your husband? Your husband was the oldest, so he probably fucked her first, right? And then she goes through all the other brothers trying to make your husband jealous till she got down to the golden child, idiot, Precious, like the youngest brother. Makes sense why she hates you and she won't acknowledge you. Probably makes your mother-in-law had to know it. Had to have. Had to drive him insane. She pressured her husband, who then tried to have my husband removed from the band. When they said no, he quit, but not until he smeared us both for months, we found out later. I'm telling you, yeah, that's how she reacts, like a jilted lover. Like a jilted lover, like a divorce. Now kick her out, like you're going through another divorce. She's acting like she's divorcing him. And this is the breakdown. Again, this is his second divorce to a woman he was never even married to. That's how crazy this is. Meanwhile, the ex was working on my stepson again. He'd be in trouble with the law and was in rehab. When he quit accepting my husband's calls, I knew it was happening. She took him out of rehab, back home to the same environment without us knowing, until we got a call at 4 a.m. He was DOA from an overdose. Once again, his son paid the price for his mother's pathological envy, and with full support of most of the family. Only one brother came to our house along with the scapegoat's sister. They came to the funeral home but hung out in the parking lot with the ex. 10 seconds is how long it took the ex to say goodbye at the casket, and she sat in the third row after coming in late for the service. My husband was completely broken. He later told me he wondered if his biological father was there and wished he had gotten a DNA test before he was cremated, just so he'd have clarity for once. So, I mean, your husband is he doesn't even know if this kid is really his son. Look, they must have tested his blood at one point. You should be able to tell just from his blood type. But if that really mattered, he would do the same with his daughter, and hasn't, because he says they're his whether they're blood or not. Cognitive dissonance is all he knows, I think. That's a shame. Alienated from children he doesn't even know are his. One ODs. And this is the result of parental alienation, because it's never about the kids. It's about the fucking narcissist. It's always about them. God damn it. Tomorrow's Father's Day. I haven't talked to my kid but once in 2 years. And this is what's going to end up happening to her, probably, because she's around a bunch of fucking idiots. I talked him into selling our house, and we moved 5.5 hours away, close to the beach. He met wonderful people and made friends, and is experiencing a life doing things he loves that he never thought possible, but at a price. His only brother that appeared to really love him has been pressured by the golden child to quit the band. Everybody was required to choose sides. The pseudo brother is now an obvious flying monkey who has ceased communications, and is Uncle Daddy to his daughter. We no longer hear from her. I feel as bad for the pain he's gone, though. His misguided anger towards me has caused me to deteriorate. While it is lessened, I'm still damaged from his outbursts, and it takes less and less to knock me off my feet. It appears he internalized his abuse, and instead of him addressing his abusers, it's easier to take it out on me. Although the intervals are greater and greater, I still cannot recover from one like, I caused him to lose his son. Even though I know it's misguided, it's abuse, and it exonerates his abusers. I guess it's Stockholm Syndrome. While I've poured myself into trying to make his life better, it seems he is to me what they were to him. It's hard to hold him accountable. He says he's sorry, but still does it. He's called me everything but a child of God, but won't use those adjectives on people they truly belong to. I emphasize it is better, which is why I don't believe he's a narc. He has improved, but a little poison is still poison. He controls me out of fear, understandably. In addressing them, he has sent one email to both Golden Children, which was huge. He has addressed some issues with the other brother, but still, it was them who cut ties, and I know his daughter is going to Hoover eventually, and I have little faith that he won't fall for it, although he says he won't. But she has 4 kids, so there's 4 more losses on the way. I think I've been focused on his devastation. I failed to see my own. All I do is research, which has been very helpful, but there's still a lot I'm leaving out due to their numbers and years involved. Neither of us have enough life left to do that. I no longer believe I'm capable of starting over and would have difficulty supporting myself in my current emotional state, so I feel stuck, and my only means of survival is for him to see the light. Our original agreement after moving here was that I would get a kiosk at our annual beach festival, as my gallery owner friend appraised my work very high, but he backed out because the one-time fee wasn't in the budget, despite the probability of my success with a traffic of 250,000 people. So I thought of plan B, but was interrupted 3 times while trying the face paint, even after saying, please don't interrupt me when I'm here with the door closed. His daughter has some of my best work in her home and office, though, but I have no motivation left. I don't know what you can see in all that. I'm not even sure what I'm asking, but I appreciate whatever insight you can share. Thank you for your time, and God bless Donna. Well, Donna, I mean, look, it's all over. The story's all over the place. And I'm not sure because of how it's written if your husband was asked to leave the band, or she wanted your husband kicked out. Who quit the band? Your husband or your brother-in-law quit the band? I'm not sure. So now basically at the end we find out that your husband is having all these, I guess, narcissistic issues from looking, and you're looking at, I got nowhere else to go. So you need him to see the light because you can't. It seems like you got a marketable talent with your art. Look, the first thing I can tell you is parental alienation will fuck you up. It'll fuck you up like nothing will ever fuck you up. It'll make you angry. It'll make you fucking rage. It'll make you blame people for things that is just... When you lose your kids like that, it fucking... It ruins you. It ruins you. He's not going to get any better unless he cuts all these people out of his life other than his one sister. Period. His daughter's got 4 kids. His son OD. I mean, look. And he doesn't even know if this daughter is even really his daughter. And this is where he's at. It seems to me most of the problems in his later life stem from the golden child's wife, who started by fucking him and the rest of his brothers. This is where I think a lot of the animal, because believe it or not, is why she hates you. This is why they're so aggressive towards him. Because she's in love with your husband. That's the way it's always been. His mother is jealous of him because the golden child's wife wants him, and he has the band, and it's all the look. Your husband has to see the light that these people are poison and they're toxic. Another Father's Day. These people are toxic, and this is what they will do. They will steal your fucking children from you. They will steal your fucking children from you and laugh at you about it. Unless he goes no contact, there's nothing you can do. And I would suggest you get out, because it seems like to me you're making some excuses yourself here. Like, oh, the financial, like, look. If you want to open a kiosk, you got to figure out a way to open a kiosk. If you want to do stuff with your art, you got to figure out a way to do it. If it's not going to work out with your husband, you can't just say, oh, well, he has to see the light. He may not. And you have to have a plan if all else fails on this. Because, oh, I hate these people. You can't go back. He can't go back. And you have to have a plan to move on without him. That's the best advice I can give you here, Donna. So, I hope that helps. Thank you for your contribution and your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it succeeding, growing, and supported, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from you guys. Without you, this goes away. You like what you see here, you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.